You're very welcome to Radio Espial. This is an update on the case of Fiona Sinnott. As some of you know, a search has been going on this week. Very shortly, you're going to have a brief summary of the case. Please, for our regular subscribers, you can skip on. You've probably already seen it, but card where it appears, you can go into it in detail. Let me stress, this summary of the case is from our original timeline. Again, card. You can click on that and go through the full, I think it was an hour and a half episode we did. Please understand, that was recorded in February 2024, so quite a while ago. What happens after the brief summary is we're going to take you through from Tuesday, July the 29th, and the events that the family experienced and the news that we had as it progressed through the week right up until Friday. So that's the way we're rolling here. Let's get on with it. Now, at the time of her disappearance, Fiona Sinnott was living in the rural village of Ballyhitt, Broadway, County Wexford, Ireland, some 120 kilometres south of Dublin City. Fiona was a young single mother, and her daughter Emma was 11 months old at the time of her mother's disappearance. 19-year-old Fiona Sinnott spent the night of Sunday, February the 8th, socialising with a group of friends in Butler's pub in Broadway, Wexford, not far from her rented home. I think it was about 23 minutes distance away. Fiona's friends described Fiona as being happy that night and in good spirits. However, her friends would later tell Gardaí that Fiona was also complaining of pain in one of her arms. Fiona had been the victim of domestic violence in the past, and the report of pain in her arm would later raise suspicions of Gardaí when they came to examine this case. Also in Butler's pub that night was Fiona's ex-boyfriend and the father of her child, Emma. He did not join Fiona and her friends and spent the night drinking at the bar. At roughly midnight, Fiona left Butler's pub with her ex-boyfriend and nobody else. Her ex-boyfriend would later tell Gardaí that he and Fiona walked a short distance to her home, where he too spent the night, but on Fiona's sofa while she slept upstairs in her bedroom. He would also tell Gardaí that on the following morning, which was Monday the 9th of February, Fiona was still complaining of the pain in her arm and wanted to visit a doctor, and that she would hitch a lift to the doctor's office. Fiona's ex-boyfriend then gave her £5, and he himself was picked up by his mother at around 9:30 a.m. His mother drove him back to their home in nearby Codstown, where their child Emma had spent the previous night. Now, Fiona never arrived at the doctor's office. No sightings of her hitchhiking have ever been reported, nor has anyone ever come forward to Gardaí stating that they gave Fiona a lift that morning. Now, in the days after Fiona's disappearance, neighbours reported seeing numerous black bin bags outside of her home in Ballyhitt. When the Gardaí searched Fiona's home and forensically examined it, they discovered no evidence of foul play. However, the investigators were struck by how clean the house was, considering the fact that a single mother lived there with her 11-month-old daughter. Fiona's landlord would later tell Gardaí that whenever he visited Fiona's home, there would be bits and pieces everywhere, as would be expected in any house with such a young baby. Fiona's family would also report the odd, clean and organised nature of her rented home after her disappearance. A few weeks after Fiona vanished, a local farmer approached Gardaí with information that was relevant to the case. The farmer told them that whilst attending to his cattle, he found numerous black bin bags on his property. He did open some of the bags and found letters addressed to Fiona Sinnott. Unfortunately, when the farmer found this evidence, he was unaware of Fiona's disappearance. He presumed it to be just another case of illegal dumping, and he went on to burn the black bags. Tragically, no trace or evidence relating to Fiona Sinnott has ever been found since. Now, on Tuesday, July the 29th of this week, the family members of Fiona Sinnott were called in to meet the Gardaí investigation team. They were informed that there was an operational development that they were doing and that they wanted to bring the family up to date. To use the words from the statements of the Fiona Sinnott family, the Gardaí seemed so confident when we had our meeting on Tuesday. And this was from Fiona's cousin, Gina Sinnott. We walked out of the Garda station on Tuesday and threw our arms around each other and said, "This is it." Now let's get into the events from Tuesday of what actually happened. Now, very quickly, this search was following information. I believe up to 3 or 4 people indicated a site in the Killinnick area of Wexford. There have been other searches this year. In fact, for the family, this is the 3rd occasion this year they've turned up at a search site. So let's go into how the events unfolded, and you're going to hear from Diane Sinnott, sister of Fiona, missing Fiona, and you're going to hear from Gina as well, who I just mentioned. Gina is Fiona's cousin. So let's take those pieces, and then we're going to work through what's actually happened this week.
It's surreal. It's a moment that we've always been waiting for, like 27 and a half years, waiting for the day to come where it's a possibility to bring her home. Like, we've been here before ourselves with our own digs, and we know how let down we've been with not having the positive outcome that we were hoping for.
It's very emotional and all, like, you know, for my mother and all, and for all of us, like, very emotional. We're still just hoping. We're just hoping that this is it.
All the daily questions that you have in your head will be answered. Like, where is she? What happened? And, like, will she be found in our lifetime? Because that's one of the biggest questions we have. Like, will we find her, or will it be our kids to find her, or their kids' kids to find her? Like, we want to be the people to bring her home because we were the closest to her.
So following that meeting the family had on the Tuesday, formally on Thursday morning, Gardaí said in a statement that the area of land that was being searched was subject to excavation, technical and forensic examinations over the coming days. Now, I want to emphasise some detail, because sometimes there's detail hidden in words. Subject to excavation, technical and forensic examinations over the coming days. That doesn't mean that's all going to happen. It means it's subject to that happening. Now, needless to say, having spoken to the Gardaí investigation team on the Tuesday, the Sinnott family turned up on Thursday, just outside Killinnick village in Wexford, essentially to oversee that search and what was happening. Now, the airspace above the location of the dig had been temporarily restricted by the Irish Aviation Authority during the search operation. There were also roads closed off. This would have been, on Thursday morning, a big thing for locals in the area. And of course, we go back to locals again. Information from locals. Locals have information. We know they have information. Not everybody is coming forward in this case with that information. So Fiona's family arrived into the Wexford village of Killinnick this morning. Renewed hope. You can see it on the map there, where Killinnick is in regards to Broadway, where Fiona originally lived in 1998, and that the family might finally get answers to questions that have plagued them for nearly 3 decades since Fiona went missing on her night out at Butler's pub in Broadway. Gardaí, as I say, did close off the village and carried out a full search and excavation at the site. Heavy machinery was brought in, drones, and obviously the Garda forensic officers were there. Now, this seemed a big deal. It got the hopes of the family up. And perhaps what surprised everyone was how quickly that search came to an end. Essentially, it was completed by the end of the evening, in spite of the Gardaí saying that it could go on for several days. But again, they were clearly working on fixed information, and they were confident. They searched the site. Nothing to do here. There isn't. This is another, I suppose, lead that we can cross off the map. And like I said, this is the third search this year alone that the family have been put through. Very, very difficult for them. Yeah, and look, when the search ended, this is what they had to say in their own family statement. As I previously said, according to the family in their statement, the Gardaí seemed so confident when we had our meeting on Tuesday. They're gutted as well as us. A number of people highlighted this location, so obviously it would have had to be looked at anyway. It's one more place off the list, I guess. And following up on that, not the outcome we were hoping for, but unfortunately nothing was found today at the dig, which has since concluded. We are absolutely devastated, obviously, once again, so I would like to make another appeal for information. Please don't sit on the information you have. Come forward. Put us out of our misery. You will be thanked and not ostracised. Be the voice who can bring this to a resolution for us. Contact Wexford Garda Incident Room on 0539 165 200. And I think a reflection of what the family also experienced that day was local people, and in particular local businesses, coming out, knowing what was going on and supporting the family. We've had some of this come up in recent comments about Gardaí and families and links and relationships and that kind of thing. And you know, I just want to say, the family say thanks for all the support as always, and special mention to the Merry Elf. You're seeing it on screen. Kylie's, I think it is still owned by Kylie's Central Killinnick, and McDonald's, the real McDonald's takeaway, for the food and beverages that they supplied for the family. It was very much appreciated by the family. And also a huge thanks to the media for showing respect to the family at the cordoned off area today. I really don't think in the media we got any direct pictures of that, and that's the way really it should be, and the Gardaí left to get on with their business. Finally, to our team in An Garda Síochána, we know you are just as devastated as we are, but we will get there eventually. Keep going. Fi, the name, the family, Fi, Fiona, we are trying our best to bring you home. And again, just to wrap up, I'm going to bring that map up again just so you can see the area. Killinnick there in the centre top. You can see Broadway, where Fiona's original home was, where she was renting. And you can also see the area of the Broadway pub, which wasn't far from our home. So that's just to give you some perspective there. And to conclude, this would be far easier if the people involved with additional information came forward in this case. Gardaí, and this has been going on years, say they are anxious to trace 4 people who were spotted in the vicinity on the night Fiona Sinnott disappeared, but who have not yet come forward. To 27 years. A motorist reported seeing a male and female on the roadway near Kisha Cross, Broadway, at about midnight on that Sunday night. It has been previously reported that the pair seemed to be having a dispute or an argument at the time. There were also 2 males in their late teens or early 20s in close proximity. And they're the 4 people who still have formally not actually come forward and identified themselves. I know there are an awful lot of rumours, suspicions, local stuff gone on, suspecting who they are. And we can't, for legal reasons, go down that avenue. That is where we are. Another search for Fiona Sinnott. It appears nothing has come of it, although I want to stress the official line from Gardaí is they do not comment subsequent to searches like this for operational reasons. However, we have been led to believe via the Sinnott family that they were informed that nothing of significance came forward from this search. That is where we are. It's not where we want to be, not where the family of Fiona Sinnott want to be, but it is where we are, and that is your update. Thank you. We shall be back next week with the Claudia Lawrence case. That's a big case in the UK for, again, cold case, historic case, and we're going to be bringing you a full timeline on that. Take care. We'll see you soon. God bless.